All right, let's do a quick sound check. Bit of an impromptu stream. I did want to get one out this week, but I have been working on the Grizzly autonomous mower or autonomous mower. Grizzly autonomous mowing robot. That's what it is. I always get the name wrong. Mowing robot. All right, cool. All right, so we're good on sound. So I'm working on a temperature sensor. I'm using the one wire temperature sensor for what's it called projects for Raspberry Pi. So it's like the DS, it's like the Texas Instruments DS something. Let me share. Oh, actually, no, I'll share it in a second. Ooh. Let me get my screen right. But these are some older one-wire temperature sensors that I've had for a while. It's for the DS18 B20 temperature sensors. So they're called the one-wire temperature sensors. They actually have three wires that go to them, like, for power. So negative ground, ground and power. And then it also has the digital sensor, and you can hook this to like a single IO pin, or you can hook multiple to a single IO pin. What you have to actually do is have an actual adapter for it, and then you can hook up like multiple to the adapter. So I'm gonna get my camera, or take my camera. Oh, all right. So this is the setup here. You can kind of see it here under this duct tape. Under this duct tape right here, I have a temperature sensor, and then I have another temperature sensor here. These fans are 5,000 RPM fans, and with these fans, they go pretty fast and suck a lot of power. So I'm going to use a temperature sensor to get temperature of the box, convert it from Celsius to Fahrenheit, and then use that in a couple if statements for different ranges. For temperature. This is the, can I get it? It's gonna be hard to look at. I'm like already at the limit for this thing here for the wire. So this is my own personal wiring job. I'm using 20 gauge wire, so very small. But this little sensor here, I forgot what they exactly call it. There's some better ones. I use the DF robot ones for like production, but these are good for tests as well. And I think they'll be okay for production. They're a cheap alternative. Can't really see it. So I'll probably bring it up on the screen and show you guys. But you can get those on eBay for like, $10 for 20 or something like that. We'll look at the prices. But that is wired to these two set temperature sensors here. And with the way that the data is shown on the system itself, and you guys will see that in a second, but the way the data is shown, they'll show up in the file system under /sys/bus/devices/w1, and then / whatever the ID is over the temperature sensor. And then for the sensor itself, it doesn't show you the ID on it, like on the actual, like it's not written anywhere. So you have to literally just like put in a cup of hot water or something like that, and then do a watch for the output, or for a watch of the cat of the file. So you can actually cat this because it writes to a virtual. It's like a virtual pointer to this actual sensor itself, this device. So yeah. So with that, we'll get started with this, but. I wanted to show you guys the setup here a little bit, and hopefully I can get better video. I'll update this from time to time, or update you guys on this project from time to time. Anyway, I think I showed the last time had this little battery, this battery gauge here. I have it hooked up. I just can't. Oh no, I can't. Kind of, sort of. So I got this little battery gauge hooked up here, and it tells me the charge of the battery without having to hook it up or anything. I want to get that monitored through Raspberry Pi itself. I just got to find something a sensor that can give me that output. But I have it hooked up directly to the batteries, to the battery terminals. All right, enough of the bad camera angles. I'm usually really horrible with that. Also, enough of my face. Enough of my face. Okay. All right, cool. So what I'll get started with is I'm going to be using some old code from my Growbox STEM project. I already have everything in there, but I'm going to add like a new function that just does the listing of, and I'm going to make it async await. But I'm going to have it do the listing. And once it does the listing, then I can get all the information from there, put that in an array, and then feed that to other things as well. So that would be my building block. So I'll be rewriting that code and updating, in a sense, updating it with the new knowledge I have, and also updating it with my new way of writing functions. So we've talked about that. Actually, I should have it here. Documentation. Excuse me. Oof, no, that is an old one. You guys are doing well on this Saturday. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Confluence is having an issue now. Oof. Do I have the page up somewhere? Oh, darn. How am I going to write this function? I don't even know how it looks again. It is my standard. I want to figure it out again. Alrighty, so what I'll do, it looks like Confluence is messed up right now. That sucks. Let me see if I can get to it here. Let me share my screen. Entire screen, screen one, share. All right. Okay, we can do that. Alrighty, so oh. Better lighting, Mr. Director. Like too much in my corner of my eye there. Okay, so I need to go to Almanac. Let's see. Sweet. Okay, cool. So it's like available from a different route. So let's see if I can get to my functions. Ooh. All right, so my standard function. Now, with this, kind of already started it. Oh, and always, let's start with a little bit of art. So this is by O.G. Hoon. Concept art for Applebot's Project Meteor. It's pretty cool, Final Fantasy like theme. It's kind of like it. Like this one. I don't like the dragon, the gargoyles here, but I do like this here, the whole cityscape. That's pretty cool. All right. So I've been forgetting the art recently too. Totally skipping over that. So forgive me. So we have our basic output object. All of our async await functions will have the same type of what's it called, structure. So we'll define we'll define an object, and then that object, so it consists of like the function is going to be asynchronous. So we'll do async await syntax. So we'll do async function and then function name. Then we define a asynchronous, or we define a return object. That return object will always have three things: status, message, and payload. From there, we'll take that status, message, update, and payload. We'll take all that, excuse me, and this is weird. Yeah, we'll take that payload and then represent it, or like output it, right? Now that'll be the output uh, of our object or our process. And we'll do things like little checks. So we'll say like if status is failure or something like that, or if status is success, then do this and go from there. So that's kind of how we handle that, and that's the reason why we do it, is that we have a standard structure of output in terms of expecting data. It's a little bit wordy, but it helps because it is a standard and we can always expect the same type of data coming out of it. So we'll do a try catch. And one thing I do need to do is have a default error handler. Do not think I have that in here. Yeah, we gotta have our default error handler. So we're gonna have to import that to if you only one thing, take it all from me. Listen to this song Autumn by Autumn called One Way. Autumn with an exclamation point, called One Way. I thought that was a pretty good song. I usually like the mushy stuff, I ain't gonna lie. I don't like being mushy, like, like in person or anything, but sometimes I do like the what's it called, the mushy stuff, the feelings. So temperature sensor, the core file, core.js is in the same folder, so that's good. What we have to do though, before we even do any of this, we'll do Control Z. Oops, sorry. Just increase the font on that. All right, cool. So we'll do Control Z and we'll look at our core file here, core.js, and see if we have our default error handler. So let's go ahead and add our default error handler. So we got our catch error handler. So we have right here, this is our default error handler for like the front end stuff. So we'll add that as an export item. We can use that. And we'll take the whole function. It's nice to have these things. It's probably better to have it in like a GitHub repo to where I can update it. I guess I'll eventually do that. So default error handler. So when we call it, I usually do the full name so I can know what like the file path is. I don't do much destructuring. Destruction is like a new thing, not a new thing, but it's like the thing to do really. And it actually does make for cleaner code and also simplicity. But I like to actually have like, okay, core, like main library or main JS require file, whatever, or main object, if you will, and then all the sub objects thereafter, or sub functions, sub variables. I like to have all of those because I feel that it gives it's an easier path to follow, and you can follow the breadcrumbs of what is where. But if you write the code and you're doing it, that's really not necessary. It's kind of for other people, and it's also wordy, especially if your function names are extremely long. So it's not necessary. And also you can destructure all. It doesn't matter. You can destructure anyway. Like I can just destructure the default error out of the core library, or my core module. But I always put it in there. So arguments, caller name. So I have to see if this will work in JS, or sorry, Node.js. It should, because it's JavaScript language, or JavaScript based language, or JavaScript on the client server side. but I just have to make sure like arguments there for like any function, and it should be, and that should be fine to be honest. But this one has a main error handler and everything too. So, oh, and this is a synchronous function, so it's not async. All right, and then this pop-up error handler, we won't use that, of course. And then we'll do the return default error handler here. All right, cool. So this has been gone over in previous episode streams. Sheed, man, what's up, man? You always here, bro, and I really appreciate you for it. Saw your streaming the other day, man. I did not join to give you that view, man. I apologize for that. I hope everything's good with you, bro. Blessings to you. I appreciate you so much. Appreciate you all, of course, as always. You know, sometimes I forget to thank you guys, but I do want to thank you guys for joining and rocking with me and getting the playbacks and things like that. Watching it live when you get here. I've had some really good participation from you all, so I really do appreciate that. I keep looking over here because it's like my camera. It's like I'm looking at my face, I guess, but I should be looking directly at you, like right there. But yeah, appreciate you guys a lot. Appreciate it all, as always. All right, so let's go ahead and write this file. And now we'll do FG because we did Control Z to put our file in the background, and we're going to do FG to bring it back in the foreground. So now that we have that done, we can return core.default error handler. All right, because now we've imported our core library in a sense. If you're in Python, you have import statements. I've been working a lot with Groovy script, so it has a whole bunch of imports and stuff like that. You good? We always here, man. Yeah, I know, bro. I know, and I appreciate that. You know, thankfully, you guys are always showing up and showing out and everything like that, man. But yeah, man, blessings to you for sure. Yeah, we good. We always here. It's like simple things like that, man. Like Sheed always comes in like, Sheed, we here, and that's like his thing. Like, yo, we here. And it's beautiful because in this space, we have men that are not just only talking to one another, gaming one another up, and working to terraform our environment just from the verbal, the non-physical, non-violent or anything way that we've had to do in societies, building up. And we're not barbarians, like we're quote unquote civilized people that do barbaric things at times. But now we're getting to the point where we're doing these things. We're terraforming our environment through the dissemination, osmosis of information to other men, younger men, and then also the women that actually listen to us in these spaces as well, and even the women in our own lives and things like that. I have a homegirl that I've been talking to, and it's just like, talking with her and talking about some of the things, and you can see that, she really wants to make a change in her life and everything. And it's great, like it's awesome to see that. And we want to see more men and women do that and, quote unquote, come together and not just build the Black community, but just build a better lives for themselves first, more than anything. And that's kind of like a big deal, Did I think that candle is done? Should light one. It's a little bit warmer out today or tonight. All right, so default error handler. Now we can test that because then we can do throw error. We can do throw. Shit. All right, let's see how this works. Oh, we're not going to do anything. It's not going to do anything. Read sensor. We are going to do list sensor single, and we're going to call that. We're going to do an anonymous function here. Just for testing purposes. That way we can do async. And we're going to do await let test this will output we're going to have this output an array eventually, so we'll call this let test equal await, and then this function here. And it's not going to take anything. Yeah, we're not going to take anything because we're going to list all the items in the array, or we're going to list all the sensors in a directory. And I already have code for that, so I'll just be pulling from that. This is all the old code. And read sensor single. List sensor. List all. Okay. All right, cool. So we're going to do list. What? List sensor all. All right, cool. I was trying to sync up the naming conventions here. So list sensor all DS18B20. And I'm more specific about that just in case I get other sensors that output in a different way. There are some things that you have to do to actually enable these sensors so that you can actually, so they'll be exposed to the file system. You have to actually update a file in your /boot/config.txt, or you're gonna have to update that file and append to it a string. I forgot what it is, but if you look up like single sensors or single wire sensors, you'll see it. I don't have that available. It's actually cat, and I have that in my install.sh. So in here, enable the use of one wire temperature sensors. Here, DT, it's this portion of the string here. DT overlay equals W1 dash GPIO. And then I just append that to the bottom of the file. I just do all this stuff so I can like comment into the, add a comment, a new line, comment, and then create a new line again, and then put the actual things I got to put in there, and then put a new line after it. So it's just to keep it a little bit clean in that file. But you put that in your boot config.txt, restart your Raspberry Pi, and then you do a mod probe W1-GPIO and a W1-therm, and that will enable those sensors so you can actually read them on your file system. And when you read them on your file system, as I said, it's cat sys bus devices. Oh, I was wrong. Bus. Oh, W1 devices. And so yeah, I was wrong. So it's cat sys bus. So catting the /sys/bus/W1/devices folder. Within that, you can find all the IDs for your temperature sensors. And if I have like warm water or my heater or something like that on, I can actually put my finger on it and I should be able to sense the temperature going up versus one sensor or the other. And then you can like label it if you need to. But when you actually 28, and I think one is 7 here, F, right? Yeah, double F. It will, oh, okay. That's the thing. And then you got to do W1 slave underneath that directory. And once you do that, this where it says T equals is your actual temperature in millicelsius, or yeah, millicelsius. So you just have to divide it by, I think, 100 or something like that, or no, 1,000, and that'll give you your temperature. So this would be like 21.312 degrees Celsius. So yeah, that's kind of like, that's pretty much how you do that. And you just have to, you take that output and you grep that. You do like a regular expression, probably catch the last space in the string, and then or catch the equal sign and everything afterward. So we may rewrite the old way I used to do that, because I did this like, damn it, how long ago was this? June 2020. So last commit was, yeah, was this about device status page work? Yeah, so June 2020, I was working on this last. That's kind of recent. I didn't think I was, I think it was longer than that. Device page status work. Wow. Status, yeah, sensor. Yeah, you see, it's freaking async 08 was kicking my ass. I'm a little bit better at it, I think, now. We'll see. we will be tested. All right, but yeah, that's how you get all that stuff. And once we have list sensor all, we're gonna be calling that once we save the file. So let's see what this shows down here. Up, let disallowed as lexical bound name. Ooh, what? I have never seen that. Oh, okay. Oh, I did a double let. I'm like, what? Okay, yeah, and it's doing that because let is a what's it called word, a reserved word. Single, okay. List. Read sensor. Oh. Hey, you want to do that? Read sensor all. Change that. List sensor all. All right, so, and it is saying that it's not there anymore, which is true. And we will do async function read sensor. Instead of all, we'll do single. So we got. I am expecting this thing to output something. Oh, okay. So we're not outputting anything. Well, we should throw an error. So try throw all shit, and then core, return core. Oh, okay. And then I have to console.log this test. All right, let's see what we got. Gamer, no. List sensor single. Okay, list sensor all. I wonder why it didn't give me an error for that. Ah, because I'm not even running it. Oh, great. Okay, cool. So when you're doing an anonymous function, you actually have to run it. And the way you run an anonymous function is appending or following following the declaration of that anonymous function. You'll do a open and close parentheses. Cool. Now I should do it. I should throw my error. Right, there we go. Failure. All right, cool. So right here shows failure, all shit. And it's doing it for all the processes. But yeah, it works. So we're good on that. Payload, all shit. So we're good. We're good on, doing we have our test case, our test block. And I'll keep it close to the function here because I don't feel like going all the way down the file, especially since I don't have it on my vertical monitor over here. But yeah, so we're good on that. Now let's extract the code that we need. Just give ourselves a little space here. Now, if I wanted to remove white spaces from a what array, I used to use Promisify. Remove white spaces from array, sensor data array. Okay. Read sensor single. So sensor ID, we're going to give it that. And we're going to get that from there. So in this case, process data, sensor ID data. This may not be like a private function, but it'll be a function. Yeah, it might be it's a function that we're probably not going to export at all. So all this does is it just takes in the sensor data. It just takes in the data that you feed it, or raw data, and then converts it to Celsius, Fahrenheit, or Kelvin. Data to string, test string. Okay, sensor data. Okay, sensor D says. Yeah, and then it always returns the reading, and it returns all three for the reading. I'm getting acquainted with this again. Oh wow, I never did. I don't think I remember ever using this type of like. Wow. Why did I do that? Huh. Oh, because I'm adding it. Whoa, I forgot you could even do stuff like that. Holy crap, that's cool. So in this case, I added sensor ID, and then it would add that information there. But we'll probably redo this. Oh, there's so much. All right, let's get the sensor data. Let's focus on that. So we have to actually read the file system. So we do have FS as a required module. Let's look down a little bit further. Coding 1 goes crazy. What is coding 1 dot? What is that? Yeah, like explain that a little bit. Is that like something that you is that a library function, or am I just like totally off? So sorry about that. Sheed, yeah, let me know what that is, man. All right, so we have a sensor file path here, and we got to read the sensor. I want to do read sensor all, but I want to, instead of just reading them, I want to list them. And then once I list them, then I could read them later. So my sensor directory is this. Okay, cool. So let's get that out of there. This is async function. Let's first, what do we want? Hold on, Cheat. I see that you just wrote back out of the corner of my eye there. Oh, yeah, like just coding like add an extra dot or forgetting a comma, especially those things are there to help you for other runtime errors. Definitely want like linting in place. It's something that I don't do, but I want to get back. Not get back to. I want to I want to refine that skill. Is like putting in linting into my projects so that it can actually give me some type of like help ahead of time, and that's definitely going to help with like long-term build process errors and stuff like that. And honestly, if you see like the fan control stuff I was working on a second ago, man, or before all this, oh my goodness, it wasn't hard or anything, or it's not like crazy complicated, but just getting it right and learning about event listeners and things like that. So the sensor directory is always the same for these DS 18B20 sensors. So we're going to keep that, and then fs read sensor directory, and we're not going to do let sensors list filter. So we'll do this, but we're not going to have a callback per se. So sensor status. So try. Yeah, we're not going to have a callback the way I was doing it before. A lot of stuff I was like confused on back then. That I'm not gonna lie, there's some things I'm still like messed up on about. But what we'll do is, if error, we will, in this case, we will throw whatever the message, the error message is. So, and that should get caught by our error handler. and it'll catch that error handler. If anything, it'll catch the closest error handler it can. So I have that try catch block, and that try catch block will that final try catch block will it'll catch in there, or it'll be caught there. So throw, and then in this case, I don't need the callback. I do have my object, but I'm not going to be using that. It's on stringify error. Now, I don't even know if the error is going to be JSON, but we'll leave that, and we'll do this like so. FS read, and let's just test this. So FS read, and then if only list. And we got to break this down because it's just old code. So some of that stuff, I just won't do it anymore. So I'll just do test pieces of it and then go from there. So I want to test that my error handler is going to handle an error. All right, so yeah, and that should be fine. I'm thinking about like because I have clustering mode enabled for this app, that might cause an issue with what is it called, man? Reading that file, so file locking or anything like that. But if it's a read, it shouldn't be bad. But even with the locking, but you know, all those concurrent like hits to that file from the 4 different processes, because it shows up as 4 core processor on the Raspberry Pi. All right, let's see what it does. Yeah, so it does error number 2 code, physical scanner, undefined. It says undefined, but what is undefined? All right, cool. It's undefined though. Console log test. It's showing as undefined, but I don't know what the hell is being output is undefined here. I got try catch too. Why is it like erroring out all over and over and over again like that? FS read dir. Yeah, isn't it? Let me see if this read dir. No, read dir should be async, the async version of that. If it's sync, it's something else. So is asynchronically, okay, read the directory. All right, cool. And then JSON stringify error. Sensor data results. We'll keep sensor data results. I don't know why it's undefined. And I don't like how it's redoing everything. That is mad fucking annoying. The reason why it's mad annoying is because I'm looking at it and I'm like, why would you even do that if I have a try catch in place? Like, you should error out, but it shouldn't be something like that. Unless I'm just thinking of it wrong. If it's read, make sure my closures are good. This is where Dan Tuku would come in and be like, yo, you would know your closures are good because you're using Visual Studio Code. Shout out to brother Dan. All right, so fh read, sensor dir, UTF-8.
stringify, you know. And the thing is, it has to be outputting undefined. If it has to be that console log doing that. It has to be that console log, which is below. Is it saying undefined? And you see, oh, you know what? It's not. No, it is. Server started root and prod mode. Why is it restarting the whole process? It should not be doing that. So in this case, let's look for some console logs. We only have that one. Yeah, search wrapped, and it does that. And await. Catch E, core.default. So let's see what this does. No such file or directory, scanner. All right, cool. If there's no such file or directory, why are you outputting all of that over and over and over again and restarting my process? It should return that and call it a day. Because you do your throw, you do your try catches, so it'll catch an error without without actually ending the process. So it's like it's like a soft fail, not a hard fail. So I'm getting hard failures from this, and that's not good. So if error list sensor dir try catch let return object. Okay. Maybe I should, instead of having it throw an error, I should have it return an error. Oh, no, but you do the throw so that it can actually hit your catch block. One thing I can do within this is actually do a try catch. Oh, that's a possible. So if I do a try catch, then. But why am I doing a multi-level try catch on that? I mean, to me, that doesn't make any sense if I'm doing a multi-level try catch on FS read dir. And we want to go to the official Node.js documentation. Let's make that bigger. Read dir. Oh. Why is it showing it this one? Deprecated fs read dir file path. Read dir sync. Oh, fudge. Maybe it's, I got to use promisify. Hold on. Let's see. Read dir path and then the callback. Maybe I have to do read dir with the promisify library to get what I want. Reads the context of a directory. The callback gets 2 arguments, error and files, where files is an array of names of the files in the directory, excluding the period and or previous current directory and previous directory, or period or dot dot, respectively. See POSIX, POSIX, read dir documentation for more details. The optional options argument can be a string specifying an encoding, or an object with an encoding property specifying the character encoding to use. All right, if options with file types. Okay. So import read from. So where's read dir? Is this deprecated? Like what? Like what? Oh, FS promises read dir. Because some of this stuff like is not async. I think some of this stuff is not totally compatible with async await. Damn, 46 minutes and I ain't code shit. Oof. All right, so read dir. Let's see here. And some of this stuff is not totally compatible with async await. I've grown to what's it called? I've been told, not been told, but I've seen personally. And honestly, there's another way I can do this. Devices. There's another way I can do this. Like I can assign that to an actual variable. Yeah, you see how that's undefined? I don't know what's returning undefined like that. Default. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's returning undefined because the string itself is not, the error message is that's why. Because of the stringify, that should be an issue. Yeah, okay, cool. Let's do that. Let's see what that does. Should be the same kind of thing though. So undefined, and then throw error undefined, fs read, let. Ooh. We'll just do s for now, and then I'm gonna do await. That is so disgusting. That's not right. Okay, so I gotta do return object dot payload, because we already defined payload for that object, equals s. And then with s, what I'll do is, with that, I'll just return s, or return object. So even with that, it should just be damn, what the fuck is wrong with this thing? So fs read dir, throw error, if error, return, throw error. I'm not returning anything, so return list. Yeah, I don't have a callback. Let's see here. Come Why am I getting undefined here? So even when I do it not right, but I have the right sensor directory, it's still an issue. So return list. How was I doing this? This filters. Callback status. Let's enter. See how I was doing it before. Everything was contained within the read. This is why I was like having issues with it before, because I even know I don't remember it, but I noticed my comment because async await was not working properly or as I expected, which is like annoying. So looks like I'm still having this issue. Therefore, I have not learned my lesson. Sensor dir with the dir. I have a callback. See if I can do that. Using file system in Node with async await. Because it might be I just can't do this properly. See, look at that. So you have to do the promisify. Starting with Node 8.0, you can use this. All right, cool. So I have to use this library. Or I have to use promisify. So, all right, let's go back. And, okay, cool. So that's like the problem with it, because some of these things in Node.js haven't been updated to use async await. So you have to still use callbacks, and you just get annoyed otherwise. And I am not going to do that. All right, cool. So, and then const reader. Promisify fs reader. All right, cool. So fs reader. All right, so we're gonna have a new reader. Reader. Let's get rid of this. Not yet. All right, so async function my await reader. Okay, cool. Sensor data results. Let's make that await await. Oh, await and then we'll do our reader here. Yeah, and then with reader, how do you just take it? You just put in your file path and that's it. Catch error. Don't know if I totally like that. So you'll do your try and then you'll catch error, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see about that, because I might have to do something to modify that and make it work with my code base and my structure here. So reader, and then your file path will be sensor dir. All right, let's see how it looks. We'll take this and move it up here and get rid of this. Yeah, because with the default fs.read dir, you have to have a callback. And that was one of the problems I was working with, running into before. Excuse me. Let me read a little bit more. Okay, cool. FS promises read dir. Okay, since Node.js 11 stable and version 10 experimental, you have access to the file system methods that are already promised, and you can use them with try catch exception handling rather than checking if the callback's returned value contains an error. The API is very clean and elegant. Simply use .promises member of FS. Okay, so import and then fs promises. So fs.fs promises and then fs promises reader. Okay, so let's do that because it's already. So what we'll do is I usually like this. I'm not using it, comment it out here. So I'll do that, but I'll keep it just in case like I need to, this doesn't work out the way I expect it to. And then we'll use fs.promises. Promises. All right, and then reader, and then path to directory, and then once that's done, sensor data results. We'll have that here. Let's see what it does. And it totally fails. It totally fails. Oh my god. Oh my god. All right. So what did I do? So missing catch or finally for try catch. So it's getting caught on something here. Most likely I didn't comment out everything I needed. So yeah, there we go. That should be there. There we go. All right, cool. It takes out. All right, so it gives us our status on our payload. So what we'll do, what I usually like to do is I'll just default the status to success and message success. Almost an hour later and we got something working, guys. Look at that. Classic Young Grizzly stream. All right, cool. We'll move forward with this. So now with that, I want, so promises.reader. Now with this, I should still be able to do .catch and .then and .catch, just so I can return a cleaner or more structured data here, or a bit cleaner data. So what I'm going to do under this is .then and I'm sorry, think about something. So .then and then data. And what I could do is like filter something out, right? Like I don't want to get this where it says like W1 bus master and all that other stuff. I don't know what else will come, but what I will do is catch strings that have this type of what's it called, that match this this pattern. Here we go. Match that pattern, and we'll match it to the end of the string. And it always shows up as 28, but I want it to be kind of quote unquote future proof. So I'm not sure what I'll do. So one wire sensor. Actually, let's look at the humidity sensor. I want to see how that works. Raspberry Pi humidity sensor. DHT1. Let's see here. Let's see how it outputs. Tell me how it outputs. I don't care about nothing else. Boom, there we go. Get out of there. All right, temperature, Adafruit sensor. Excuse me. Bro, I just like started learning how to cook oxtails. Forgive me. I am a Jamaican. But I should have learned a long time ago. But like on my first batch, I undercooked it, and it was like the meat was kind of tough, but it still tasted good, and I ate it, even though it's still like undercooked on the middle and the inside. But man, I know how to cook it now. I just cooked some the other day. Ooh, baby. Actually, last night. It was really good. All right, so this doesn't show me the output. I have to, and it's like some of this stuff is abstracted away because you have the library, the Adafruit library, but it doesn't show you how it actually outputs the stuff. What I'm looking for is that if I can actually get the raw output that somebody already did, then I can see like, okay, how does this all work? Like I want to see if they like, show it on the file system. EHT temp, and because there's got to be some like format to it where there's certain things it doesn't show. I might have to look at the Adafruit Dht library. This is part of the fun too, like finding answers and stuff like that. Let's see, Python library, dedicated library to DHT sensor, and Adafruit Dht, Raspberry Pi, bump version for rootless access change. Okay. Error calling DHT. Oh, okay. So the DHT comes from the GPI open reading. So that's not going to help. And I mean, how do I find that out? I mean, it also shows it pretty much here because it says DHT22 and it requires an actual pin. So the actual pin number here. In my case, I don't have to directly access the pin number because I believe it's a digital pin. I want to say it's like IO pin number. Oh man, I forgot what pin it is, but it'll be one of the digital pins on the Raspberry Pi so that you can actually read that sensor, and then it'll show up in the file system. And because it's digital and not like semi-analog, if you will, that's the best way I can say it. But because it's digital, I can hook up multiple sensors and they'll actually read to the file system or read as separate objects and expose itself on the on a Linux file system or Raspberry file system. All right, so let's see. Okay. List. And with this, I can actually console.log list. And because I did that, I'm going to comment out this here. All right, cool. So I want to see what this list looks like. It should be an array. All right, cool. So that's an array. And then just by doing that .then, now I can start doing some mutations on it. Like for instance, .error, .catch, or anything else like that. Like for instance, if I do device instead of devices, this should go to my other catch block. So failure and yeah, failure, and then it doesn't restart the process, which is what we want. We don't want it to restart the process. So here, yeah, so that should be good there. Error, no such file, directory scanner. Boom. All right, so, but we'll have failure and then go from there. So that's good. And that goes to our main catch block. So I can just have this .then, and then if it's successful, it'll just do this and output. No comments here. Okay. But let me think what I want to do. How do I want to do this? All right, cool. Let's look at that pattern. Let's get a success here. And we'll go to regx101.com. I love this site. Works out. Oops, didn't want to do that. Press Control-C by accident. So this is your test string. And then it'll tell you, it'll break it down for you how the match works. And then you have some helpers here in terms of like common things, all tokens, general tokens. So things like if you want to do like a word or a character or something like that. What we'll do is I don't know if it has like a, all right, we'll just do it. So 28 dash and then period this, right? And then the reason why is because now I can filter based off of like that shouldn't work if it's like multi-line. So I'll run it through that. For instance, how I know it works is if I do that, because period asterisk means like anything. So what I did is by prefixing with 28 dash and then anything, should be good on that. One wire sensors in file system. All right, reading one wire temperature sensor. All right, so okay, cool. This gives us a little bit. Reading, we'll read from the beginning. In fact, let me put this in there. Reading one wire temperature sensor. All right. Let's now learn about learn about and use the one-wire bus protocol to read the ambient temperature using a temperature sensor. To do that, we'll first build a circuit using one-wire temperature sensor. After it's built, we'll control this circuit with a script. The one-wire protocol is a bus-based protocol that uses, as the name implies, one data wire. Oh, okay, that's why it says one wire. One data wire to transmit data between devices. It's similar to the I2C protocol. I forgot what that means. I2C, it's like II something. Hold on, let's look at that. It's like a serial something connector. Integrated circuit. There we go. Boom. Get rid of that. All right. But it has a longer range and lower data rate. So I don't think you can pull these a lot. It follows the master-slave architecture, which each bus allowing for one master, in the case the Omega, and many slave devices. Every device type has its own unique single byte 8-bit identifier, ergo 0x8f. Okay, that's like the hex thing here. Hex code. I don't know what that means exactly. Each device in turn has its own unique 8-byte 64-bit serial number that includes a byte to describe the device type, known as a family code, as the least significant byte. An example of a serial number is shown. Oh, okay. So it has a family code. So that family code, and it's good to read like RFCs and other specs and stuff like that, or documents where they go into a little bit more about what the sensor does and how it's read, and like how it's in a sense not serialized, but how it's how it should be what to expect when the data is represented. So that's always a nice thing. All right, so this is the sensor I use. The protocol may also be written as one wire, or sometimes like one wire or one dash wire, or sometimes 1W. For consistency, we'll be using the one dash wire in this and other guides. In code, we'll use one wire, okay, or one wire, okay, variable names, constants, in Python. To make one wire work with the Omega, and I guess this is like a board type, we'll first label a GPIO as the one wire master bus. This will be the main contact point between the Omega and the, I say Omega or Omega. I only say Omega out of respect to James Bond. Once we have master bus set up, we can then scan for the sensor through it and read from the sensor as needed. The omega. So in this case, like the actual adapter that I'm hooking to is the master, and then all of the sensors that I'm hooking up through a breadboard and connecting to that master adapter are the slaves. All right. So we'll have to send some low-level instruction directly to the bus. This will be a good opportunity to learn about the process of reading and writing files. Okay. So this is your sensor here. Building a circuit. What you'll need. We'll skip over that. Writing the code. All right. So I kind of found what I needed here. One wire sensor family code. I want to see what the family code is. What does this mean? I think this is BS. 8-bit CRC. Introduction, search algorithm, dash, test build. The first 8 bits of a 64-bit registration number is the family code. As a result, the devices discovered during each search are grouped into family types. Let's increase that. Lost my spot. Family types. The last discrepancy within that family code can be used to selectively skip whole groups. One-wire devices. Okay, so guide for temperature sensors. I think it says the first 8 bits, and I think each in hexadecimal, I think the first 2 are 4 bits. Damn. Hex code value. Damn it. ASCII hex code. Oh, that's cool looking. File separator 1C. But I think with this is like, damn it, man. This is like networking days, man. I forgot like bits. Oh, man, how much I think a hex code has like 4 bits or something like that, or represents 4 bits. It's MAC address. I think MAC address is like 48 bits. MAC address includes an array of 12 digits through 48 bits or 8 bytes. You are watching, okay. You're watching, okay, MAC address Wikipedia. Just trying to find out. So 48 bits. Yeah, 8 bits. And then says the OUI. So this first thing is 8 bits. So that means each section of that is 4 bits. So this 28-bit or the 28 dash or the 28 in that is the family code. So since that's the family code, all right. Each device in turn has its own unique 8-byte 64-bit. So if it's 64 bits, 64 divided by 4 bits, so that's like 16 characters. So if that's 16 characters, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14. Oh, okay. Wow. Wow. So this is only 14. Let's make sure. So if it's 14, no, it's 16. Oof. No, yeah, okay, that is right. Yeah, so 14, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15. Huh. Okay, so that means it can get longer, but what about this 28? Just want to see if I can just match the 28. Build a circuit. Oh. Sorry, I get caught on these things, and it's just like, Mike moved past it, but I want to understand this a little bit more. What to expect. Closer look at the code. Working with files. So slave file path. It's always bus master. Scanning a bus. Simple 2-line block reads the slave's file system at, and then the address, right, which triggers Omega to physically send a request to the one-wire sensor and return data to our program. Okay. Yeah, I guess we're just gonna have to accept 28. You know, sometimes it's like if it ever comes up to where that's a problem, I can modify my regular expression pretty easily. So even if I go here and then say, oh man, oof, how do we do this? So if I like, I can compartmentalize this, I think like this, and should still match 28 dash. Oh, I gotta escape this. How do I do ranges? Let's increase this. Character in range AZ. Okay. Now I think is it curly braces? Okay. Between 3 and 6. So if I did, all right, so for instance, if I did something like 38. All right, so it should still match and not match the other one if I do like say a 48. Oh no, it does that one. All right, so text matches the character 8 within the index of 5. So I wanted to do that number. Expected single character. Either match A or B. Alternate, match A or B, okay. And United States is non-digits. Match everything in close. Okay. Word boundary. All right, so we're not going to do fumbling through. I don't want to do a dash because that doesn't work. So I do 28. 28. Shoot. Dash 28. Match 28. And I need it to be at the beginning of the string. I don't like doing it this way because I don't think this will. 38. And I need to match at the beginning of the string. And then dash. Match. Huh, no, that doesn't make any sense. So, and I shouldn't. If I do 48, I can add it like that. Okay, so that's cool. That's an alternative if I just want to give up here, but I want it to match the dash as well. And I don't want it to match just that dash, but I mean, I can have it do this. It has to match dash, whatever, and whatever. That's cool. Excuse me. And then I also want it to match towards the end of the file too. So period. I want it to match that whole thing. Oof, I just don't see that. Regex ranges. Regex match for number and range. I guess I could do like D and then that's it. Yeah, D for single or multiple digit numbers. So no, I'll just do the I'll be specific with it. Okay, so to match a 2-digit number, it'll be \D and then curly braces 2, close curly braces is used where is the quantifier, and 2 means to match 2 times or simply 2-digit number. Similarly, 3 is match regex for number range. I don't know what you call like a number. Like it's not a range. I don't want 1 to 12, but I want like 1, 3, and then range is divided into 3 parts. Huh. Okay. The second part is 200 and regex. Okay. Finally, 0 to 129.99 to 1,000. 1 to 999,000 or 9,999. All right, cool. The regex for this component is. Oh, okay. So you want to match 3, or you want to match 1, and then the second part is 200 to 249. Oh, okay. The final part is okay. That's interesting. Wow. But it's like, why do all of this when you can just match from 0 to 255? But I understand, it's a nice example though. That's cool. Huh. I wonder why it's like that. All right. Back to it. All right. So with that being said, I want to match 28. I wanted to, I can do something like that, and then 8. Then I always match the 8 and then dash. Yeah, that'll work. Because the first digits will also always have to be 2 or 3, or in this case 2 or 4. Okay, cool. So that'll do what I wanted to right there. Boom, and then and then we want to match all the way to the end of the file or end of the line. Cool. That worked out. Got what I needed from there. So I can do list.filter. So use a higher order function here. List that filter. And then I can put in my filter here. Ooh. Let me see my list.filter. Dot filter. I don't use this enough. But I should be able to do. Oh man. Creates a new array with all the elements that pass the test implemented by the provided function. All right, cool. So in this case, I won't provide a function. I can do filter list for the item. And then I think it's .test. I think you have to return true for the item to work. So you have to do that like test, I think it is. Oh, okay. That test method executes a search for a match between a regular expression and a specified string, returns true or false. Vosk Tech. Oh, okay. I'm sure that's like, damn. Yeah. Thanks for the love. All right, man. I don't even know what Vosk Tech means. Probably like freaking, I don't know what that translates out to. All right, regular expression test. I think you have to define your regular expression ahead of time. It looks like test. I want to. All right, I think I could just do like this. I think I could define it. So L.test. Ooh, what do I want to do here? Okay, cool. I want to have that there. Test, and then I can do new regex. And it's just me being lazy and not to being too wordy when I code this stuff. I just don't want to have all of that there. Nope. Unexpected token. It's not a function. Oh, okay. Yeah, it should be a function though. Passes the string that test. Okay. Let test. Filter regex equal new regular expression. Do I have to write my regular expressions in that fashion? And then filter regex. I wonder if there's another way I can do this. I'll test feature filter regex true. LTest is not a function, L.test, but it is console.log, and I can do list. All right, cool. So it is a what's it called? But then filter, if I do filter on it, I'm doing that against each thing within there, within that array. So it should do that. L test. L.test. Console.log L. I just want to make sure filter's working right, but nah, shit, that's not even going to work. That's like more of a for each. Yeah, okay. I'm surprised that worked. Because the way filter should work is that, or the way I was expecting it to work is that it would it should say like true or something like that. All right, so index, filter, callback function, this arg, element, function. So function is predicate. Function is a predicate to the test each element of the array. Return a value that coerces to true to keep the element, or false to false otherwise. Okay. All right, so we have to make it true. True. Filtered list. And we're going to return filtered list. That's why I don't like this, because it's like so wordy that you have to do this. It's like, all right, this object, this object, this object. And I like to do it in one line if I can, but I'm not there yet, the young Padawan. Test. I wonder if I have to do this. Filtered list. L.test. X. L.test is not. So, but test is. Oh. No, test should do an item. Let's look at this. I want to filter with a regex, so let's look at how to do that. Can I use the filter function with regular expressions? Okay, cool. Excuse me. This really isn't an issue relating to .filter. It's just that you aren't testing your string against your regular expression properly. The test string against a regular expression, you should use .test method. Okay, great. And then if I do this and it splits it, filter, val, and then return. Oh, shoot, I'm doing it wrong. Oh, okay. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. All right. Oops. Oh, wow, you can do it like that. Damn it. All right, cool. So that is a lot shorter than that's a lot shorter the way than what I was thinking. And then return, shebang, not. All right, cool. So I can do that. Let me see how this looks without multi-line. So it should just do that one line. Okay, cool. All right, so then if I go like this .test, and then I test my actual value here. So if I wanted to, I'll return this, get rid of this. I'm gonna say get rid of, I'll just comment that out. See what happens. I think the string isn't, okay. L is not defined. List. Oh, shoot. Okay. So I need to put this back in. Yeah, return filtered list. And do this here. I want to return this. So that should be, it should course that should make it true or give me a true value. And get rid of this. Return. Okay, and that'll be my filter. And I think I could do this on one line eventually. Give me a sec though. Let's first do this and we'll clean it up. Okay, so return filtered list. Yeah, so it doesn't console anything. That doesn't do anything. Cool. So success and takes and does our filtering. So now let's make this into a one-liner, if you will. So we don't need a return statement. We just need this, and then that should course to true or be course to true. And I don't need that. Essentially, I can go like this. Oh, my test argument, and then that's it. And then return filtered list. And in fact, I don't even need all of this. I can do return, and that should be it. Hey, okay, cool. So now we have our filtered list, and it's a little bit quote unquote cleaner. In here, if I wanted to, like 438, range is 3 if I want, or to 4. I mean, it's kind of arbitrary, or not arbitrary, but it's not necessary here. And I can always add to it if I ever need to, so I just have to remember that. If you need to add to the regex, you can use so. To catch, oh man, what do you want to do? To catch what values? To catch new values. Patterns. Just realize something. Even with this regex, I don't need the 8. Like, look at this regex. I don't need, like, I just need that. Oh, I just need that. Yeah, I mean, that's all I really need. I don't need like to the end of the line. As long as it matches that pattern, then that's fine. Excuse me. I can do something like that, and then it should give me my payload the way I want it. Perfect. All right, cool. So now with this, now that we have this, well, hour and a half. Look at that. Sensor length, task completed, data. So like this is a little bit simpler, a little bit less wordy. We're using the Promisify version of the library, so that's cool. And it should return an array, which is our payload. So we'll just have to do something to catch that data. But that's a lot smaller than the previous function, which, it had a couple other things, to be fair to the previous function and even my past self. Some of that stuff is just not needed here. And I'm going to do that in the .then here. So that's cool. And it's using the new way, my new function template. So looking at this, return object. Cool. So that's all right. Cool. This is a good starting point here for stuff, because now I can just have it as an object and that's it. So, or have it return the object as expected. So, and then cool. Now let's do read sensor single. So we could do like read sensor all and then read sensor single. Read sensor all will just loop through the array. Read sensor single will just read the item that's passed in. And then read sensor single, you can do building blocks, right? Like if you read all, you can just loop through single, you know, or keep calling single. So we'll read sensor single. I got cut up my nose. That sucks. How the hell did that happen? Oh. That's why I wasn't picking my nose. Got cut on my nose. It sucks. All right, cool. So what we'll do, we'll just have building blocks, right? Like, so for instance, I want to read I want to list sensors, list all sensors. And then from there, I can read one sensor, multiple sensors, and then have it just pass as a string, right? And then that should be it for that. All right, cool. Let's code that. And I want to say, like, you know, the hard part's quote unquote over. You know, it's just not, after this, it's not really that big a deal to get some of the stuff done, I think. Famous last words. And sensor ID. Yeah, sensor ID. So sensor ID. And if it was a type language, that'd be like string sensor ID or something like that. So string sensor, and then sensor, I can use my string interpolation here. All right, so ls, no, actually I have it here. / devices. I have the string, there we go. And this is what I did for read sensor single before. And I was doing read file sync. You see how that, or no, read file async. Oh, okay. I was doing it right. Ooh. All right, cool. So let's do oops, but let's get rid of this. And then read sensor all will just loop through that array. It'll take an array as opposed to a string. And then sometimes you have to work with this, right? It's like, oh, if it's a string, like if it's a string, then, or if it's, you know, like outputs, do you want to default your outputs to an array at all times or to a string, stuff like that? Okay. Sorry. I always have like these, like, not brain farts, but like my mind starts to wander on stuff. Oof. Such a problem sometimes. All right, so sensor ID, W1 slave, and that's the file we want to actually read. And in this case, sensor data results will keep that the same. And instead, we'll do promises, and then we'll do read file. So fs promises. Let's look at the Node.js. And I think we should be able to do like read fs promises access read file. Read file. fs promises read file. All right, cool. So we should have read file and then path and then options. Okay, cool. So all I gotta do is do file here. Oh, let's change our function here. What we're testing. Let's see what this does. All right. Read file is not a function. Okay, so okay, it's uppercase file. Or uppercase F in file. Oh my gosh. So much, no such file system. Yeah. And then what is my sensor? And that worked well, I think, right there, because it throws the error, but then it doesn't stop everything. And you can tell it doesn't stop anything because it just keeps running. Like you don't see the constant restarts here or anything like that. So that's good. Let's copy this because I just copied a whole bunch of text. And here. Retrieves a list of sensor IDs that are present on the system. IDs are filtered. And only show IDs that match the pattern 28/. See, there I go. My mind is wandering. All right, cool. So put a little comment in there and oh, okay, cool. So let's put a nice example in there in terms of and we want to do we'll return some strings and just have that different at the end there. All right, cool. So that should be good. Retrieves a list of sensor IDs that are present on the system. IDs are filtered and only show IDs that match the pattern 28/. All right, and then 28/*. Excuse me. Cool. All right, so that should be descriptive enough there. And again, trying to be better with commenting stuff, right? You know, putting information in and commenting that, you know, like to where other people can read it, other coders can come in behind me and be like, oh, okay, this is what this function does. This is what this function expects and things like that. And you can actually have like a whole system of that. Like, you know, you could say, okay, expects this, does this. One thing I was doing at one point, and this is not the most maintainable, is where is it? I think it's here. There we go. It's not the most maintainable, but if you go to like modules, I think no, it's not ready. So sensor.js. I was doing some wild stuff, man. So it would have this, but then I would go to things like scripts. And yeah, I would do it for like every script. This is what it does. Like takes temperature reading and then returns converted value. So like I would have stuff like that in there, man. Like it was like, oh goodness. So it's a lot. And I thought this was good though. I still think this is good. This is highly descriptive. And I think it's a good way of like actually putting stuff out to where people can read it and like look at it. You can essentially do this by just putting a README in the directory and it'll show up or readme.md file, and it'll show up so that you can actually it'll read. You can read it in your, like, you just have like extensive documentation, right? Like, it's not in one place, which would be even better, but at least you can see this on the file system as well. And the documentation comes with the actual product, if you will. But it is something that I mean, I probably do. It just takes a lot of work to actually do that, man, because that MD file, something else. Like, if I just look at readme.md and then look at the raw, like, that's a lot of work to put into that, man. That's like crazy, but it's readable, and you can read this on the CLI or via the repo. Okay. All right. So, and I think I think that's like something I should go back and do, or have someone go back and do, and say, hey, listen, man, I need this to look like this. Like, write out everything and what it all does, or what have you, or test it and write it out, and then also write tests for it as well. That's like one thing I gotta do, is like have this stuff where it writes tests on different builds. Okay, so 2-hour mark. So I should be taking that. So the payload is a buffer. So with that, I have to convert that buffer to UTF-8. So that's cool. That's good. That's good. That's good. Read sensor single. I'm doing this wrong here. Sensor dir. And then we'll say data. And then that data we have to convert to UTF-8. And we can actually have it as an option. So right here where it says refile async, I can do my encoding here. So let's get that piece there. And let's look here, control payload. And with that data, I should have, it should be a regular expression to where I take that information and process it. And I think I process it in this here. So process data, so sensor ID, and then the data, and then that should return what I need out of there. Data string, new line, nothing, filter, string, test string. So this right here is a space. Yeah, we're probably going to change the way we do that. All right, let's get this our data to output first, though, and output properly. So in this case, we just got to get this to encode to UTF-8 because it's reading it as a buffer. All right, error list is not defined. That's okay. Data. See what data is. All right, cool. So that's our payload, and it's a multi-line string. And what we'll do is we'll get the second line essentially. We don't want that first line, and then we want the second line. And with the way that data is structured, it should be like one long string. We can do two string, and then that should give us like one whole big string. So because right now it's concatenated, or it has the plus, so that tells me that the string is concatenated and it's not like a full-on string. So hopefully we can actually just do two string and then remove or make it to where that data is readable as one single string. Okay, yeah, it's the same thing. Okay, I guess it is a string anyway, so all right, cool. So what we do is something like that, where it says, actually, output different. As you can see, I'm pointing at is that output right there different? All right. As I'm pointing at the string, I was like, but as I'm looking at this, like, it says like, see how it says CRC, FD, FD, yes. Like, is that different than what I had before? No, it is not. Okay. Does it look a little bit on the different side? Yeah, I just my mind playing tricks on me. All right, cool. So let's go to our regular expression and make a new one. So we have this string here. This is how that looks. This is how it should look in the file right here. So we have a multi-line. We have a multi-line string here, and we want to get. Oh, so one thing I was doing is I was doing a replacement of anything of all new line characters and removing all spaces as well. So that was another thing I was doing. And that allowed me to get a quote unquote nicer string. So let's do dot replace. So as you can see here, I'm removing all new line characters, and then I should also remove this as well, and then test the string. But no, I'll do dot filter to string. All right, cool, to string, and then why am I doing to string on that? We'll see. I'm going to replace. I'm going to take out all spaces, and I'm going to take out all new line characters. I think I need to do to string on this. Double dot, kind of like what Sheed was talking about with that double dot. One dot will just kill you. And then replace. So replace, in this case, I'll do all S. So S or backslash capital S should be like all white spaces. Let's see here. Any non-white space character. Huh. Any non-white space character. Why would I want to replace that? So any white space character would be it'll be lowercase s. Let me see why I did that. What was the method to thy madness? So, oh, and replace a white space character with that. See what it does here. So give me one long string. There we go. So our payload here is one long string. And then what I'll do is match the last bit. And the reason why I was like, why do I need two string is because it's already a string if I converted it from buffer to UTF-8. So it's like, why am I doing that? And what I want to match here is T equals, and then everything behind it. Everything on from that point. That's what I want to extract. Mm-hmm. It's like match everything enclosed. Okay. capture everything enclosed. Okay, so if I do this, oh, okay, I gotta do the semicolon or the colon. All right. Group one, okay. No, regular expression flags. And I think I have to use substring to extract this. Dot substring. Index start, index end. Substring from a string. No, I should be able to do that with the regular expression and get whatever it matches. I would use dot match actually. JavaScript match. The rain in Spain, ain. A global case sensitive rain. Okay, so do a global case sensitive search, ain. Okay, cool. And I can always reference 0, index 0 to if it's an array, if it matches multiple. So yeah, do a dot match. Oh man, space dot replace dot match and oops. Whoopa. I don't want that T though, so we'll work on that string or that output. Excuse me, let's see what he got. That's not what I want. Where does groups come from? Oh wow, index to undefined. Oh wow, okay. So it returns an array, and so I can reference. It's not clean or what I want or expected, but I can do 1 because it returns an array, and then from that array, I can just have it do like payload here. Let's actually look at that. I never seen match return an array like that, and it's mainly because I'm doing it with 2 different. I'm actually matching 2 different things. So yeah, and I don't want to do the equals because equal shows up here with CRC, and I want to do the T. I can also match the very last space and then everything after it. All right, regex match after. Regex match after. Afterward. All right, so object names. Capture one group. Okay, how to match the first word after an expression with regex. I know it's showing me, but I want a simpler way without thinking too much. Match after everything after the first occurrence. We start the expression by listing A. Okay, cool. That's nice. Match everything after the last occurrence. So A, and then match everything. Oh, okay. So I have to just put it in. I just have to encapsulate it with the square brackets. Oops. Ugh. Ugh. Ooh. Wait. Oh, do I have to escape that? Oh, okay. I have just another bracket. T. Wait, what? I remember after the last occurrence. Oh, to dollar sign. Okay. Dollar sign to end the string. Let's move this closer for convenience. All right. So in this case, all right. So in that case, I want it to be the equal sign. That should be good. Shoot. All right. Oof. So yeah, I mean, I don't like this per se. Where it returns an array like this, and I would just have to just choose number one. I can just be a little bit more specific with my return or with what I want. And it's nice actually. It shows the index that it shows up at, which is kind of cool. It's just weird how this shows up. It shows an array, but or is this an array or a map? Because like I have index, like this is array syntax here, and then I have index 46 input. Yeah, groups undefined. Yeah, that's not the cleanest, but it'll work. I wonder if I can do like I could reference that other piece there. Like I want to reference that index 46. Yeah, undefined. Yeah, I don't know why I did that. I mean, it's just the output that's giving me there, but if I reference that index 46, that's actually like almost like a JSON type format, but this right here most likely is just you just don't really use it. Okay, cool. But yeah, we're not going to use this. So match. Do we have to do the G? I don't think we have to do the G. Oh crap! Oh kerbobble! All right. Cool. So it should be giving us what we want. That's a little bit cleaner. We have to do the G. See if it just gives us a string. No. G and then match. In this case, we'll just do 0. What if we could do like a dot includes? Okay, cool. Payload. All right, so that's our payload. And now when we have this payload, we're going to read the single sensor. So the single sensor information, I want that to output. We need to add a filter. So converts data to string, removes chars, and extracts temperature in Celsius. All right, cool. So then that does that. And with this, I want it to read the temperature data. Thanks for showing back up, Sheet. I appreciate you, bro. I got to another function. So right now what I'm doing is I'm reading a sensor, and then once I read that sensor, now I'm going to go ahead. Now that I've got that one single sensor being read, which is passed as a string, I'm going to, or that sensor ID is passed as a string, goes to the file system, reads the file that has that string, and then I'm going to take that and then convert that to like millidegrees Celsius and things like that. Or no, from millidegrees Celsius, which will just be your Celsius multiplied by 1,000, or no, multiplied by, yeah, multiply by 1,000. And then you could divide it by 1,000 and get your actual degree centigrade or Celsius. But I usually I want to return an array of like temperature readings, right? So temperature conversions. So whatever it is, Celsius, Fahrenheit, the conversion for that, and then Kelvin. And Kelvin is, like you don't need to do Kelvin, but I'm special. So process sensor data. Process data, sensor data, and it'll return the raw, the Celsius, the Fahrenheit, and the Kelvin, which I have here, and that'll be as reading. Okay, so sensor data, and then ID, and then it'll give me, okay, so it'll give me my sensor ID. Oh wow, so that's why I did that. So which is nice about this, it just gives me my sensor ID, which is cool. So sensor ID, sensor data array, and it should, I guess it'll pass it as an array. Sensor data, return sensor. Why is it doing it as an array? String, replace, filter, remove white spaces from the array. So the thing is, that's not necessary in the iteration or the way I'm doing it. And then sensor.substring, sensor temperature raw equals sensor data array dot length. Yeah, we're going to rewrite this sucker. Let's get the full page out. Come on. All right, cool. So let's get for this. I want to do this. Okay, well, at the very least, we're going to have our return object. And even though it's not, we'll do a try catch nonetheless, even though it's not asynchronous. So let's get our default catch block here. We will do our return object. Okay, so I need to put this there first. Uncut that there. All right. Oh no, that's cool. All right, cool. So we have our default catch error handler. We have our default way of doing things here. So that's good. We're going to take our sensor ID, but we're not going to take the sensor ID. We're going to take our data. I'll just pass it only data. Process sensor data. Then once you process that sensor data, I'm going to have it return as an object. Yeah, I have to have it return as an object with all my readings. So sensor data raw, though, should be a number. Oh, okay, of course, I make everything a number. Yeah. So I have my temperature conversion. I have that a part of my core. So let me get that. Growback stem, server, modules, core. Conversion. Right. Temperature conversion. All right, cool. Scale equals Celsius. All right, cool. Let's get that. And let's nano server core. And we put this as a part of core because I use it in other places, or that's the plan at least. And then temperature conversion. All right, let's also make sure that our data for our temperature conversion, temperature. Let's make temperature a number. Let's just do it within this function here. Let's do it a little assembly line fashion here. All right, so, oh shoot, and we want to, make this, turn this string from a string to a number, because then it gives us what we make sure that our data is an actual number if it can be converted to that, and if there is an error in this, then we'll get it should be caught by our catch block. Now, this doesn't totally fall in line with it being caught by our catch block, because there could be issues with the with this. So one thing we can do is you can actually do a try catch in this. Try. And the only reason we're doing a catch because you just want it to output an error. I mean, this might be not the best thing. Well, actually, it's not wrong or anything. It's just, if I do this, I have to change something else down the line. So I try catch, and usually I put like a finally. Anyway. Excuse me, totally not needed though. If you have a try, you have to have a catch, but you don't have to have a finally. And then I am going to return default error handler E. And of course, I can just say just default error handler because it's already within this file here. All right. The obvious, but I want to state it out nonetheless. Let's see if there's any errors. All right, great. All right. And then bring this back to the foreground. So we have a core function called temperature conversion. In fact, let's move our repository window over. Ooh, where is it? Oh, wrong set of tabs. That's why. Just bring it over to this side here. Not doing much in there. Just looking at event emitters before all this. And essentially, the reason why I want to work on temperature, I stepped back. I worked on the fans first and worked on a fan regulator, but I was having issues with that, and I'm still having issues, and I'm gonna get back to it. But I pulled back from that, and I said, hey, listen, I want this to be event driven. So if a temperature reaches this, then it emits an event, or no, an event is being listened for, and then it emits an event saying, hey, listen, change temperature or something like that, or current temp is event. And you can have your own custom events. So you can actually have an event emitter or event listener, and then that event listener could be listening for a certain keyword, like a quoted keyword. So quote exit, quote, it'll be like whatever the event is, .on, and then quote change temperature, quote, adjust speed. So you can actually have your own custom events. And when you have those custom events, then you can go forward and do things like, okay, when it emits this event, then go ahead and do this. Like, so, you know, whatever your function is .on or your event listener is. And I can kind of show that. I might show that. We'll see what happens. But you can do like let and then test. Like you could do let test equals add event listener and then whatever it's going to listen for. And then you can do after that, once that's available, it'll be like new event listener or new event listener. And then once you do the new event listener, now you can go ahead and start doing things like test.on and then go from there. In fact, we can actually look at that because I was looking at that earlier. Ooh. Oh, this is from our last talk. That was a good talk. Yeah, Dan did his thing, man. Came through, and I think he did. He said he enjoyed himself. You know, after the whole thing, he said he enjoyed himself. So I thought that was really cool. But he definitely did his thing, shared some knowledge, and yeah, it was definitely enjoyable. Definitely enjoyable. Where is this? But yeah, that was definitely, it was enjoyable and also appreciated because, you know, like we talk so much about like, okay, certain levels of people doing certain things. We talk about this, but then it's like, you know, what's behind the cover? What's behind the scenes? Who are these people? Who are these people that are getting six figures? I mean, I made six figures in my day job and I've been making six figures for a while, but it's like, okay, could you tell that by how I look? Or, you know, what shows that this guy makes six figures or how does he make six figures, you know? And everybody does it a different way. Like I make entry level six figures and it's like, okay, well, you make entry level six figures. So now what's the next step? How does entry level six figures look and what type of job gets that? And this is just one of the many paths. And after that, it's like, okay, how do you get even higher? What happens with that? Like, okay, now you're looking at investments. Now you're looking at entire portfolios where it's six figures plus and things like that. Or like, you know, well into the six figures, getting into like the 200 marker and stuff like that. You know, even to the mid six figures, which is your 500 grand marker. So it's like, okay, what is that? What does that entail? How does that look? So on and so forth. And it's good to have those conversations because people start to see it. Let me just do Node.js event. Oh, okay. It's right here. Wait, right here. Huh. Node. Okay. So events. Node.js has a built-in module called events where you can create, fire, and listen for your own events. Oh, okay. This is not how I was thinking of it, but yeah, let's go through this. So, and to finish up what I was saying earlier, showing what's behind the curtains helps other people because then they start to see like, oh, okay, this is totally doable. And that's what it's all about. You know, it's like, okay, this is totally doable. All right. So I am going to start blocking users here and get some of that stuff out of there. All right. So, you know, it's like, okay, this is what's here. And then you can see that, oh, okay, this person, myself, like he's Googling code. Now, that's not what you want to do as a higher level, senior level developer. But in some cases, you're going to have to do that. And like I have to do that with people on my job and things like that. And you'd be surprised, like, you know, what people do know and don't know and how much stuff is out there in Google. Sometimes they're not really paying you so much for just your knowledge, but sometimes the knowledge of, okay, I think I can do this or I've done this before. Sometimes they're paying for your experience. And then, of course, a lot of times they're paying for your tenacity and ability to make decisions and also ability to troubleshoot, which is also ability to make decisions as well. So that's why they'll pay those higher costs. And then, you know, I was even talking to my homegirl and I was saying like, you know, if you start learning like Excel, that's one thing, right? And you just gain that skill, maybe even ITIL or ITLI, get a like some type of certification in that, and then go even further and couple your Excel skills and your ITIL skills, excuse me, your ITIL skills, you couple those together and then start doing things like defining new processes, getting data, and then putting those things in things like Power BI and so on and so forth. And then like it's like when you start to do things like that and you put yourself in that level, or you put yourself in that vein of thinking, then it's like, okay, you become more valuable. You become a person that's like, okay, I'm thinking not just about now, I'm thinking ahead, and I can do modeling and analytics and stuff like that. And it's beautiful when you get to that point, but you really have to, even if your new job does not deserve that from you, do it anyway because you deserve it and your next job deserves it. So once you have all those skills, use your current job as a test bed, because they only expect you to do what you're doing now. But when you start adding other skills and doing more things, like when you start adding, I have to look here. When you start adding more skills and doing other things and stuff like that, then it's like, oh, okay, well, if you screw up on Power BI, not a big deal, because they weren't expecting that from you. So that's an ambitious thing. So it looks good too. But then when you learn Power BI and it looks good, and you put that on your resume that you actually installed or initiated a procedure or a certain workflow because of your ITIL training and certification, or your ITIL certification training, and anything else that goes along with it, and you're actually applying that, and then you're actually coupling that with things like Power BI, my God, you look sexy. You're looking at 70 grand a year working from home, working in your damn pajamas most of the time, that type of stuff. Like, what I'm saying, grizzly life, baby. So those are the things that you want to do. And those are the things that a lot of people miss, that they always like, oh, fuck this job. They're not giving me that. They ain't paying me Power BI money, so on and so forth. And it's like, all right, cool. Do you think your next job is just going to give you Power BI money and let you, learn Power BI on the job? Or Power BI on the job? No, they're usually not. They're going to expect you to know that already. Or if the job says, hey, listen, we're going to learn this, then, you can get into it. Power BI, Tableau, whatever. So, those are the things that like a lot of people don't understand, is like sometimes you're training for your next job at your current job. And that's an important thing. It's another perspective or way of looking at it. And when you just change your perspective a little bit, things start to look a little bit better, even at that job. Because now you're like, all right, cool, I got something for your ass. I just worked on this spreadsheet all night, and then now this is gonna like, push a whole bunch of information in there, and now I'm gonna look better. Anyways, events. So you could do require the events module, and then take out event emitter, which is dot emitter. So events dot emitter, and then now you can say var my event handler, but then this is your event emitter. So event emitter dot on. So new events emitter, emit scream. Oh, okay. So events emitter. So yeah, you have event emitter, but you can also do listener. Where's events listener? I guess you don't need to do that. Okay. Because you can add an event listener if you wanted to. Oh, okay. Yeah. Weird. I didn't know that was like that. Cool. So you emit an event. So you have your event handler, and then this gets handled when the event is create event handler. So this handles the event when time comes. So then you're going to do assign the event handler to an event. So event.emitter or event emitter.on. So on scream, you're going to do this function. So then if you wanted to fire the scream event, this is where you actually do your action, like almost like a console, whatever. And then you're going to do a dot emit and then emit this. And you can also pass this different functions. I had another article up earlier that I was reading. Oh, okay. So that's a different way of doing it than I saw before. VS event. Tutorials on point? No. Yeah, I guess that's how you do it. See, you can do add listener, adds a listener to the end of listeners array for the specified event. No checks are made to see if the listener has already been added. Oh, okay, so you can add multiple listeners. Huh. It was a pretty cool looking article, really. The big thing is like it looked really nice and it was pretty straightforward. Yeah, here we go. Get max listeners. Listener count. Oh, this is nice. I'm gonna need this. All right, so let's get events. All right, cool. Yeah, I'm gonna need this one because I'm trying to find out like how can I list all my events so I can get max listeners, get the max amount of listeners one can add to an event listener, event emitter, listener count, emitter.off, alias emitter.on, emitter.once, prepend listener. Oh, this is really good. Yeah, man, I like this one. Oof, I don't even want to save that because I have so much stuff saved. All right, so what we want to do here, where was I? So we should have conversion. We should have temperature conversion. All right, so try temperature conversion. So the data that's passed, if data dot status equals failure, we're gonna do throw data dot payload because that should give me a payload. Trilload. And then if it's good, then we can go from there. Otherwise, we're gonna give it data dot payload, which will be a string, and we're gonna coerce that to a number. Excuse me. Let's do this. You know you're a JavaScript programmer or a coder when you have like long ass names like that. Very descriptive. Really no way you should be able to screw that up in terms of like what that means and what that actually is for. So there's that. And I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna return it. So process my data, do my temperature conversion results, take my data.payload, and I mean, this is where I also like, I have to look at my, like what's passed. So this is another thing. I have to look at what's passed here and, is there any problems? Okay, no. Server core JS. So my try catch. I mean, I can go where I just like give it a number or something like that, but I don't need something like that for something so simple and it's synchronous. Ooh, but then that messes up things like, okay, what do I expect? Like, you know, setting a standard of what to expect in terms of my data output. Sometimes it's just too much work. Mm-hmm. Okay, so process data. My data is going to be passed. My data that is going to be passed, though. Yeah, with this, I'm not gonna like do all these checks. I'll do a check before it gets to this to make sure it's like not just a number or anything like that, but just make sure it's not failed or there isn't a failure. And then this just processes payload. Yeah, and well, deep breath. It's hard doing this because it's like you think ahead of like, okay, all the work you have to do. It's just cumbersome. I don't want to do it. Blah blah blah. Damn, it's 12 o'clock or 12:30. Damn. All right. What do I want to do? How do I finally want to? How do I want this to look in the end? That's kind of the thing I'm thinking about. Temperature conversion, temperature scale. If I return default error handler, that's going to be a whole problem. So I think I'm gonna get rid of my try catch in here. I just don't want to deal with that. I just don't want to deal with that right now. Yeah, I don't want to deal with that. I just wanted to just return it and that's it. Give me the scale and return it. No, I do want to do that. Damn it, man. Trying to be a better coder, guys. So I'm gonna let our return object and then try and then return if scale. So this is a patient program like when you're like tired. It's a problem. Yes on this, yes on this, yes on this. Oops. Try on that last one. Or Alt-U, I should say, on that last one. And then after all of this, return that object. Return my return object. Because I did right. Okay. And then I gotta figure out like if I want to do each one, like do I want it to like return my default catch error handler? Like if I can't convert all the others, I should be able to convert everything all at the same time. Not at the same time, but I should be able to convert everything. It's just like, am I overthinking the solution? Because it's like, okay, if I'm converting the temperature, if I can't convert it from milligrees Celsius to Fahrenheit, like, when is that ever really going to happen? You know, like, for instance, like, when am I ever not going to be able, like, for instance, if that's an issue, I just don't know. Let's see how the output looks, and then we'll work at it from there. Because I want to have this just in case something does happen for whatever reason. But it's kind of like I'm really over engineering this little piece here. That's really, it doesn't need to be like this complicated. Anyways, save. All right, cool. So now I have my process sensor data. And then with my process sensor data, I'm going to return temperature conversion results. And then my return object. So I'm going to do my process sensor data, read sensor single. Excuse me. So data, which is this, my payload should be whatever the data is. And this is reading a single one. So let reading equal that. And then we'll do process sensor data. And then we'll do the, I need the sensor ID. That is doable. So my data here, see, this is where I need, see the sensor data results. I don't need to do it in here because I don't want to pass it from outside of the function or outside of the .then, and it'll find it because it's it's within the lexical environment, or because of lexical environment chaining, it will go up that chain and find it in the parent function that called it. But I don't want to do that. Like, I want to have it process. I want it to be sensor data results. Process. Yeah, I wanted to make sure that I don't have those hierarchy issues where it's like it doesn't find it until it gets into the .then. It should be within the same lexical scope, or I need to define. It should be within the same level or same closure, and not an inner closure or nested closure within a lexical scope. It should be within the same lexical scope, not an inner lexical scope. I think I said that right. All right, cool. So process data, and then when I process my data, I'm going to, I'll still return this because, yeah, that's how I do this here. If I sensor data results, and then take that, and then return this as my payload. All right, and is that a synchronous function? No, it is not. All right, let's see what errors we get. Temperature conversion is not defined. It sure isn't, but core.temperature conversion is success, success, message, success, and then my payload is nothing. All right, so my payload is nothing because I'm not referencing payload. And what is producing my payload? My payload should be produced down here. Sensor data results, or the process sensor data results, should be .payload. Hmm. Read single, and then it got the information there. Return.payload, return object. And then if I do from temperature conversion, core temperature conversion, data payload, dot payload. And I want it just be that payload there. Oh, okay. I kind of get it. We'll see. Dot payload. Oh, okay. I didn't give it anything. So I'm not giving it process sensor data. But my sensor data should always be Celsius. So I should always have C. See what it asks for. And the scale. So from milli-degrees Celsius to Celsius. Payload. Yeah, so, okay, so I have to do my results, my process data. I have to follow this here. Ooh. All right. And the thing is, I didn't even return my sensor ID. Fug. See how process data. Oh, okay, that's not a problem because process data and then data. Oh no, that is a problem. This temperature conversion results has to be somewhere else. Okay, I get it. The fit and everything, and it's like you're just retrofitting. You're adding code and doing the retrofitting here. So payload and then core temperature conversion, I have to give it a scale. And then if I give it a scale, process sensor data. Now, if I do process sensor data, again, this is all like the solution's already there. I've already worked it out before. Now I'm just thinking about how I want this data to be processed. And sometimes that's the thing, because now you're looking at it and you're like, okay, how do I want this data to be processed into the future? And if I process it this way into the future, how can I actually add it to an array or something else? And what can I expect? What are the tests that I have to go through for this? What if it fails? How would it fail? How can I test for failure? And blah, 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 blah. So you get so stuck into like thinking ahead that it really slows down your programming, which is why sometimes, you got to slow down, walk away, or just think about it, think it through. And, again, this is a stream and it's going on almost 3 hours now. But you got to look at all these things and be like, all right, cool. I got to do this. And I got to make it look like this, so on and so forth. So that's what I think about. And this is what happens when you do that. To make this actually work, I need to add a scale. So let's just make something work here. It's a part of why it doesn't come out properly. Okay, so that's not a number. Access payload, not a number. So even if it says not a number like that, oof. Oh. JS convert string to number. I think it's just number. Converting JavaScript string into number. Oh, okay. No, John is. Parse int. Oh, okay. So I think number just tests if it's a number or not. So that's where I'm getting the problem here. Run 384. Okay. So number. Yes, yes, yes. See what it does. Still not a number. Okay. Parse int. Let's see what we get for our data. I removed one, but what I had before. Make this a little bit faster. 3 hours later. Temperature is undefined. So I'm not passing it anything. Let me just make sure too, because JS number. Yeah, I guess I was right before. Yeah, okay, I was right. Okay. Just my input was messed up. Turn object. So my input was messed up or is messed up here. So let's console.log. All right, and then I'm not passing it anything, so I got to go to where I pass data. All right, so process sensor data. Where do I have that? And then sensor data results. Possible that this is a number. No, it's right. Okay, what am I passing this thing? Process data results. Okay, so what am I not doing here? Let's get rid of the other console log. Let's also get rid of this. Right, and then if I do this, core.temperature conversion data dot payload C failure. Oof. Yeah, after this, I'm going to end the stream because we're getting on 3 hours here. All right, but I want to fix this. I want to fix this. Try console.log. Oh, I don't think there's a data payload. Yeah, I don't think there's a data payload. No, data. It is data. Oh, yeah, so there's a data.payload. So therefore, I don't have to do this. All right, let's just look at that again. So if I do read sensor, right, and I'm doing all my checks ahead of time, this just returns data. Okay, so that's the problem. I'm not doing anything to, I'm not doing anything within this to like say, hey, if it's a failure or not to get anything. So that is a problem. I don't need a catch block per se, but I do need something that returns, like if it's not, well, if it's successful, then it'll return a value. That's a number. Should return a value, that's a number. So if it's a should, it should be caught. How does that work? Let's see. Message function. So I have my failure. All right, cool. That's caught. So it won't get past that and it won't process it. Excuse me. So W1 slave. So W1 slave. I mean, honestly, all I have to do is take out the dot payload, but I'm just trying to think that through. It's like, okay, do I want that dot payload in there? Do I want to do any tests? What tests do I have to do before this? And then if it returns like NaN, like it's not a number or something like that, what do I have to do then? I probably just have to catch it after the fact. Yeah, I'll probably just catch it after the fact. And then I'll have all my Vosk Tech is like a thing today. Yeah, I guess I gotta do something about that. I might have to do something like filtering or something like that for the comments. All right, so let's bring this sucker home. Return the data, just return data, or just accept data from this. And my return will always be, yeah, my return, I can have my return as something else, right? Should give me kind of what I want or along the same lines. Yeah, payload is 21.062. Right. Oh. Yeah, it should be like reading and then scale. Okay. So then if I have my reading and scale, yeah. And this is where this comes in here. Cool. And that'll be here, not under process data, but that should be here under reading. So under reading one, payload, here we go. So here is where I should have my output, or that big output here. Because then this is where I can reference my sensor ID. That could look clean. Yeah, sensor ID. Yeah, because now I'm doing all my temperature sensing. Process. Yeah, but I guess the process is supposed to return all that for me. Because it's like, why do all that? Oof. Oof. See how this looks, because I might not need process data. Yeah, I might not need process data. It's just like I can skip that step. In a sense here, because I could just do core temperature conversion and then sensor reading raw. Which would be sensor data results. So from here on out, you shall be known as sensor data results. Yes, 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 yes. Great. And then that should give me all that. Processed sensor data results. And I should have, so the big, let me do this a little bit bigger. I think we're good. All right, let's see what we get. Our payload should be all fucked up. Great. All right, so where's this at? Fan regulator. What? Why is fan regulator being called in this? Okay. Oh, okay, there's the error. So temperature sensor is 79. Oof. So this is reading. This is sensor. Backup closures there. Cool. So that's an object. All right, good. I think we're good on that. That's yeah, it turned out really good. So there's payload, success payload, and then it gives me all of my readings. And then what I can do to make this better is just like JSON.stringify, and then the data, and then it'll show me everything. Big string. Cool. Not cool. So if we look at this, and this is not bad, it's just not what we want, right? We want it to be quote unquote cleaner, or we just don't need we don't need the nested bits of all of that. And let's actually turn off a couple of our console logs here. Right, so this one we don't need. I don't think that solves everything. Yeah, okay, it does. All right, cool. So there's that. And what we need to do Oh my gosh. I don't think we need this anymore. Process data. Yeah, it's just not needed. I don't think we use process data for anything anymore. Nope, we don't. And what we'll do is we'll go to JSON Beautify. Beautifier, and we can get a better look at what I'm looking at here. So if you look at this, I mean, it's good, right? But my payload is reading. Yeah, so our stat, like under Celsius, it's status payload 21. Like we don't need all that. So what I'll do is take all of that out, and then, and see, this is what I was talking about. Like I looked at it earlier, and I was like, well, do I need to complicate this to show all of this, the payload and all this other stuff? And it's like, no, I really don't. I mean, I need to show Celsius and then whatever that value is. Instead, I'm returning a whole freaking whole ass object. And it's just like, why? Why am I returning a whole object? I don't need to. I just need to get the reading, and it'll be that reading will be a string. You know, what is it for Celsius, Fahrenheit, or Kelvin? And that's it. You know, I don't really need to do all that other stuff. So that's why it's like I was like, it was such a brain fart for me, because it's like, okay, what is the end result? How is that going to look? And also you're just taking out excess, because I didn't need the process sensor data. I didn't need that anymore. If anything, the code is a little bit not simpler. It's just cutting out a couple pieces, cutting out some fluff. So in this case, yeah, I mean, I don't need a return object. I don't need all that other stuff. So what I'll do here, let's think it, see if it's not a number. Do I want it to error out? No, I mean, if it says not a number or something else, that's fine. And if it says number and then it says not a number, NaN, then that shows me that there's an error, and that'll be on the front end side of things. So yeah, I really don't need that, and it's really overcomplicating it. And then all right. Yes. So take this out. Engineer is not over engineering. He's not engineering. Young Grizzly saying of the day. Just total bullshit, but whatever. Okay. And return scale. Okay, so just return. See how this looks. All right. So let's see. It's a simpler object. And this is it. So this is the sensor. This is the reading. And then this is the raw. And the thing is, do I even need reading? I mean, what else am I going to put in there? I guess I could put other stuff in there. Yeah, we'll leave reading. We'll leave reading because I could put other stuff in there. So the raw reading, Celsius. Yeah, we're good. For those in the back of the lecture hall. So yeah, so that's it right there. And then, you know, depending on if it's K, then I add K at the end for Kelvin or whatever, you know, so on and so forth. So we're good. We're good. If I say it one more time, that means I mean it. I'm gonna go eat some oxtail. Some Jamaican. And yeah, that'll be it for now. So let's finish the cleanup here. So we read this, return that object. It's going to return a payload for that. Ooh. We should return an array. No. We won't return an array. We'll return this a payload, and then the payload will add to an array. Because we're reading a single one. right? And then once we read all sensors, then we'll write it to an array. Okay. Okay. All right, cool. So we got a little documentation there in terms of how everything should look. Yeah. Bit overkill, bit wordy, but I like it better. I like this. Okay, this is okay. It's better than none. Always. And then after that, we should be able to cycle through this. 312. I guess we can go to like 4 hours, 4 hour stream. Yeah, sensor single. Ooh. A return object status. What are we getting from? Before we move on? What are we getting from the original one, right? From our sensor ID. How is that being fed into it? No. Sensor ID is not a problem. Yeah, sensor ID is a bit somewhat isolated. It doesn't depend on listing the sensors. We're going to call listing sensors in the read all sensors, and then call sensor ID. Read single sensor ID. When we read the single sensor ID, then we can go ahead and go from there. Yeah, and we can read the single sensor ID and go from there. And we'll output all of that into an array. All right, cool. Let's do that. And the reason why I'm going through this is because, do I have to check any data before it comes in? Right? Like, this right here should be flagged or throw an error if there is one. And if there isn't an error, then it'll go from there. One other thing I can do is sensor data results for this, right? I can actually, to make that easier, I can actually feed it a string. See what happens. Should get something like not a number for Celsius. Yeah, so for Celsius, I got null, right? So I mean, I was assuming it was going to be not a number, but yeah, I mean, that's fine. And that's what it is. Like, for Celsius, I got an error there, but it didn't error out the whole program. It just kept on going. All right, cool. So take that out. And you get into a point where it's just like, well, if I didn't get the error that I want, should I make sure I get that error? And it's like, yeah, you can, but I'll just say, I could just do a falsy for my conditional. So it's not going to be like a huge deal. All right, cool. Let's bring this up. All right, and now we're going to do read sensor let sensors equal list all sensors. Await. Oops. Await. Await list all sensors. So we'll list all of our sensors. And then once we get that, oh, I know. Just we got to do. Set our things up here. Set our stuff up here. Is that like that? Shouldn't be like that. All right, cool. So return object, try, catch, return object, and then we're going to do, so this one is list all sensors. We're going to have that within the try block of this here. And then now once we get our list of all of our sensors, and we're going to do read sensor all, or read sensor all, read sensor all. No, we can do JSON that stringify and keep that. And list it shouldn't take anything for list sensor for read sensor all. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna have it take anything for read sensor all, because like if it reads all sensors, it should have it within, and this is preference, but if I'm reading all my sensors and it's the same type of sensors like the DS or the DS18 or the one wire sensors, then I don't need to make that to where it's like a variable in terms of the type of sensors I put in there, because it's specifically for that sensor type. At least that's my thought process. So if it was like read sensor all, and then it was like all sensors, and I can put in different parameters to the function to make it, produce something differently depending on the sensor type, then I would do that. But otherwise, I'm just going to do list sensors within the function itself. So here, let's just do double quotes here, or double single quotes, console.log. Now we'll do sensors. All sensors. All sensors. Okay, so sensors. So cool, success, payload. All right, great. So now this lists all my sensors. All right, so status message. So what I'll do is I just need the data of that. So then now I can test for errors. So all sensors, if all sensors that met status equals failure. I'm trying to like move to double quotes. I think there's like a thing about that. Failure. Double quotes instead of single quotes. I forgot what it is, but it depends on languages, like how quotes work and how quotes are perceived. So status failure, and then I will throw whatever the error is. So that'll be all sensors dot payload. Yeah, payload, because payload is going to have the error that it had in it, right? And then now I'm going to do all sensors, and then this should be, yeah, that'll pass it. And then I need to do all sensors dot payload. I'm going to do a for loop for sure, or a for in. I don't know if I have to do any processing. Read sensor. I'm trying to think of like what loop I want to do. We do that. Let's see how this output looks. All right, cool. So our payload is this now. Good. And then I'm gonna do something. Excuse me. I burpee. Damn, it's 3.5 hours, man. 4 hours stream. Okay, so if I do my sensor data, how do I want to output that? Or how do I want to cycle through that? I can do a for loop, where I have I, then increment. I could do a for in, which is, I don't think for in is mainly for objects. So for in loop, JS, yeah, JavaScript. So I could do a for in for a an array if I wanted to, but it's not what it's supposed to do. If anything, you should be doing like a for. So note, for in should not be used to iterate over an array where the index order is important. Oh, okay. Okay. The index order is important. I guess it doesn't care. Excuse me. Because the order of iteration is implementation dependent, iterating over an array may not visit elements in a consistent order, which I don't care about. Therefore, it's better to use a for loop with a numeric index, or for each, or for of, when iterating. So for of is what I want. So yeah, for of creates a loop, iterating over iterable objects, including built-in strings, arrays. Okay, so I want to do a for of. So for of is cool. So the reason why we would do the for of is because then I can do things like do my break statements if I ever wanted to. So I try to use for ofs instead. So for of for, and then it would be AS for all sensors. for AF of all sensors, I want to all sensor readings equals an empty array. And then for each one of those, I want to do all sensors should be AS, and I should be reading single, not living single, reading single. And then I'll put the sensor ID. Oops. Sensor ID, and then be AS. Let reading equal await. And I don't have to do this. I mean, I can do this in one line. Yeah, let's just do it in one line. Well, we'll keep this just in case the one line doesn't work out how I expect it to. But really, all I should do is all sensor readings dot push. Yeah, push should be, push pop is taking it off. Push is putting it on. And I can just do await. No. The reason why I want to do readings is, oh yeah, I want to do readings because I want to reference the output, or I want to reference the output payload of it, property within the output, and then all sensor readings should be that, and it should be an array. See what I messed up on? Okay, all sensors is not iterable. Give me iterable bowel syndrome. All right, cool. So read all sensors. All right, cool. Try catch blocks are working for us. All sensors. All sensors. So all sensors. All sensors dot payload. Hey, that's cool. All right, let's see what we got. Yeah, it looks like it's all there. JSON beautifier. The hardest thing in here was like, let's read how this looks. Yeah, cool. So we got all our sensors, we got their IDs, and we have their readings, and then we have all the raw readings for each one of them. Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, okay, cool. And they're different. I mean, it looks close because it's like the 7.7 here, and then it's like in the middle. So usually as humans, we'll read it, and then it looks the same because it begins the same and then ends the same, and then the stuff in the middle gets lost. But no, yeah, that's all two different sensors. That's cool. For those that stayed this far into it, hey, listen, we're done. That's good. I'll take that, and I'm gonna go take my ass on and eat. But this is good output. If anything, what I'll do is this here. Oh, I don't have to do that. I can just do copy here, and actually, I'll just do this, and that's a lot shorter. Cool. So let me just put this here, EX. Oh, doesn't look any better, but that's like so wordy to put all of that. Okay, we don't have to put all of that. So let me copy the clipboard. And what I'll do is just, I'll truncate it a little bit. So instead of having like, all the readings, yeah, I'll take this out. It's not truncated, but yeah, it will say truncated. All right, cool. It's my little bit of OCD there. Here. Oh man. Good. Oh. That's the wrong way. Takes an array of sensor IDs, ID strings, which is a standard return object. Ah, shit. Yeah, man, this is it here. I'm glad with the way this turned out, though. This is not bad in terms of just getting this data. So now it returns all of our sensor data, has a good format to it, has all our different readings. We've integrated old code into new code, and also done it a different way. We've added another function, and also we're producing everything asynchronously, and producing everything asynchronously, reducing a standard return object. We have our standardized functions, and then we're processing a standard standard object. And then from there, we're doing all our other processes. So that's cool. What else? It produces an array, but if it's failure status, I'm just thinking about like the status and like, all right, that's fine. That's neither here nor there, and that's a pretty quick change if we ever need to. But now we have all of our payload data here, so that's cool. All right, great. So we have our tests and stringifies it. I guess like we can see how. Oh. See where we go, where where all of this looks. Let's finish cleaning this up, and we have 3 functions here. Let's make all of our tests for these 3 functions. Not the best place to do it or the best way of doing it, but list sensor. All right, so you can prepend all these lines with this. Right, and then this is the only one that requires actual sensor string. So sensor ID, and this is the function. This is a function that takes no parameters. So this function takes no parameters. This one does. This one doesn't, because it's all enclosed. And then JSON stringify for everything. So that's my string. I can do, in this case, I can, that'll be my sensor ID. Oh, I can do this if I wanted to. See how it's like I got list all sensors and it should return an array. I can do list all sensors, and then I can do, since that's now I've assigned that to T0, I can do T0 dot payload and then index 0, because that'll be the first item in the array, even if it's just one item. And if it doesn't exist, then we'll have an issue. So yeah, so I'll test it for success, and then I'll test for no success there or error. So test, and then I can console log all of those. 2, 1, 0. Cool. All right, so this should be our test for this first one. Again, it outputs 4 because I have 4 Node.js processes. I have Node.js running in cluster mode. So this is our first test. Did I want it like that? Yeah, that's fine. I mean, because I can do. No, that is fine to be on separate lines like that. All right, so this just gets our array of sensors. This gets a single sensor array. This give me a single sensor ID, and then gives us our reading. And then this should give us our reading of all sensors. Cool. So all this work. So now with that, let's get rid of all of this. I think it's a little bit less complicated, not by much. And then there is a little bit more bloat because I added a lot of code. Oh, true. Read all sensors. True. Yeah. I added a lot of documentation within the code, which is nice. I think. Right. Cool. So I think that's good. And then I can do things based off of that. So now I can do things like export this and actually use it in other files. I'm going to do read all sensors here. And I'm going to do nano server app. And then when I do nano server app, going to do temperature sensor. That's the function. Okay, torturing myself here. All right, so then. So if I do my temperature sensor, I should be awaiting that. I mean, I have to put this in. I'll probably have to wrap this in another function. But what we'll do is we'll console.log and then await that output. Oh, and we'll await. Yeah, we'll await that output. Oh, I think we can do JSON dot. I don't know if we can do like JSON dot stringify, or do we have to like wrap the JSON dot stringify or wrap the await along with the JSON dot stringify? So yeah, let's just do the await and wrapping it in there. And the result of that await is utter failure. Missing after argument JSON and stringify. JSON and stringify. Oh, yeah, that's not gonna work. It should work here if I do an anonymous function. And this is definitely not gonna be how production looks. Let's see how this works. Oh, I forgot to put async. I think it'll still, that's still an error. Oh, okay, no, that's good. All right, cool. So status, and I have my temperature readings. So now I can actually take those temperature readings and do some other stuff. But ooh, where's my beautifier at? Bro, I'm so screwed up that the beautifier is right in front of me. Ooh. Great. All right, that looks good, man. Register. Yeah, so that's good there. All right, yeah, that's it. Okay, I'm out of here. I am done for the night, or I'm done for now. It's 1:43. I got some stuff I gotta do tomorrow, but yeah, I'm done for now. And hey, guys, always do your best, do more, and take time to grow every day. Talk to people, try and help out people as best as you can. I always believe in, it's lonely at the top because you don't bring anyone with you. A lot of times, a lot of people want to keep secrets on how to do one or two things. I'm very free with information, as you can see, almost a 4-hour live stream, and all the other stuff that I've actually put into, this channel. A lot less so now than before, but I after a while you just kind of repeat yourself and some of the topics and things like that. You really could just say it once and you can just keep on going over and over again. David Carroll says, the repetition is the mother of skill, and we can repeat ourselves, but I don't know. Sometimes some things I want to move forward on. So, I wish you guys all the best. Do more to get more. If your results are not what you want or not matching what your expectations are, change your inputs. Meaning, sometimes you're gonna have to do more. All right. With that being said, thank you very much as always. Love you guys, and I appreciate you. Peace.